I entered, sound stopped. Thembi was straddling Marcus on the cheap leather couch. Her blouse was unbuttoned. His hands were everywhere. The smell of betrayal was thick. Perfume, sweat, cheap wine. "What the hell is this?" I screamed. They froze, like animals caught in headlights. Marcus's face went pale. Thembi's makeup was smudged, lipstick marks on his neck. The intimacy was everywhere. Scattered clothes, half-empty wine glasses, a discarded lingerie piece I knew I hadn't bought. "Now, Liddy, I can explain," Marcus started. I laughed. Not a happy laugh. The kind of laugh that promises destruction. "Explain?" I said, my voice dangerously calm. "Explain how my husband is sleeping with my best friend? Explain how long this has been going on?" Thembi started crying. The moment I saw the text message, something inside me knew everything was about to change. My fingers trembled as I held my phone, the bright screen illuminating my face in the dark living room of our Santon townhouse. 11:47 p.m. Marcus was supposed to be working late at his engineering firm, but something felt off. I am Naledi Kumalo, 35 years old, a top-tier corporate lawyer at Johannesburg's most prestigious law firm. From the outside, my life looked perfect. The kind of success that makes people whisper and stare when I walk into a room. My tailored suits cost more than most people's monthly rent. My Mercedes G-Wagon sat gleaming in the underground parking. I had everything, but perfection is often just a carefully constructed illusion. The text wasn't from Marcus. It was from an unknown number, and the message made my blood run cold. "Ask your husband about Thembi. Ask him about what happens every Thursday night." Best friend. Words kept spinning in my head like a deadly carousel. I remembered how Thembi and I met during our first year at Wits University. We were both scholarship students, fighting to prove ourselves in a world that constantly underestimated Black women. We'd shared everything: late-night study sessions, family struggles, career dreams. She was more than a friend. She was my sister in all but blood. And now something felt terribly wrong. I opened Marcus's location tracking on my phone. He was definitely not at the office. The GPS showed him at a small apartment complex in Rosebank, an area known for discreet short-term rentals. My heart started racing. Sweat beaded on my forehead despite the air conditioning. I've handled countless divorce cases as a lawyer. I knew exactly how infidelity destroys families. I'd seen the pain, the betrayal in my clients' eyes. Never did I imagine I would become one of those stories. Making a decision, I grabbed my car keys. The cool leather of my jacket felt like armor. My mind was clear, focused. I wasn't going to be a victim. I was going to face this head-on. The streets of Johannesburg were quiet at midnight. The city that never truly sleeps was taking a brief moment of rest. Street lights created golden pools of illumination, casting long shadows. My Mercedes cut through the night like a knife, each kilometer bringing me closer to the truth. I didn't know it then, but this night would change everything. The perfect life I had constructed was about to come crashing down, and I would be the one holding the hammer. Little did Marcus and Thembi know, I wasn't just any woman they could betray. I was Naledi Kumalo, and I was about to make them understand the true meaning of consequences. The Rosebank apartment complex looked ordinary. Pale yellow walls, generic security gate, nothing that screamed place of destruction. I parked my Mercedes across the street, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. My legal training kicked in. I'd investigated countless cases, but this was different. This was personal. The apartment was on the 3rd floor, room 307. I knew Marcus's every movement, every habit. He always used the stairs, never the elevator. Said it kept him fit. Ironic how fitness meant nothing when your character was rotten. My stilettos made no sound on the concrete stairs. Years of court appearances had taught me how to move silently, how to observe before striking. When I reached the door, I didn't knock. I used the spare key Marcus didn't know I'd kept. The moment I entered, sound stopped. Thembi was straddling Marcus on the cheap leather couch. Her blouse was unbuttoned. His hands were everywhere. The smell of betrayal was thick. Perfume, sweat, cheap wine. "What the hell is this?" I screamed. They froze, like animals caught in headlights. Marcus's face went pale. Thembi's makeup was smudged, lipstick marks on his neck. The intimacy was everywhere. Scattered clothes, half-empty wine glasses, a discarded lingerie piece I knew I hadn't bought. "Now, Liddy, I can explain," Marcus started. I laughed. Not a happy laugh. The kind of laugh that promises destruction. Explain? I said, my voice dangerously calm. Explain how my husband is sleeping with my best friend? Explain how long this has been going on? Thembi started crying. Marcus tried to cover himself. How long? I repeated. My hand was in my purse, fingers wrapped around my phone, already recording everything. 3 months. Thembi whispered. The world tilted. 3 months. 3 months of lies. 3 months where they met here, in this cheap apartment, while I worked, while I built our life, while I trusted them both. I saw everything clearly now. The late nights, the mysterious meetings, the way they avoided eye contact during our last dinner party. How Thembi would always sit just a bit too close to Marcus. How Marcus would make excuses not to attend events with me. Get out, I said to Thembi. She scrambled, collecting her clothes, mascara running down her cheeks. Marcus tried to stop her, tried to talk to me. But I was done talking. My mind was already calculating. As a lawyer, I knew exactly how to destroy them both. Professionally, personally, financially. This was no longer about hurt. This was about systematic, calculated revenge. And I was just getting started. The drive home was a blur of rage and calculation. My mind raced faster than my Mercedes through Johannesburg's midnight streets. Every memory of Marcus and Thembi replayed like a toxic film. Stolen glances, secret touches, years of calculated betrayal. I pulled into our Santon home. No, my home now. The modern glass and steel structure that once symbolized our success now felt like a cold, empty shell of lies. My phone buzzed. Marcus. I ignored it. Instead, I went straight to my home office. As a corporate lawyer, I knew how to gather evidence. My fingers flew across the keyboard, accessing our joint accounts, credit card statements, communication records. Each click revealed another layer of their deception. Bank transfers, secret meetings, coded messages. They thought they were clever, but I was always 3 steps ahead. I found transfers to the Rose Bank apartment. Not just recent. This had been going on for months. Thembi, my so-called best friend since university, had been receiving monthly payments. My blood boiled. This wasn't just an affair. This was a calculated betrayal. My professional network was extensive. With a few strategic messages, I could destroy both their careers. Marcus, a senior engineer at a prestigious firm. Thembi, a rising star in corporate consulting. One call, and their professional worlds would crumble. But I wanted more than just professional destruction. I remembered how we met, Thembi and I, 2 scholarship students at Wits University fighting against a system designed to keep us down. We'd supported each other through everything. Late-night study sessions, family struggles, career challenges, and this is how she repaid that friendship? The phone rang again. Marcus. I answered, my voice cold as ice. Where are my divorce papers? I demanded. Silence. You have 24 hours to move out of this house, I continued. Everything is already documented, every single detail of your affair. His voice cracked. Naledi, please. I hung up. My next call was to my firm's senior partner, a woman who understood betrayal all too well. I need a divorce, I said, and I want everything. The plan was forming, not just revenge, something more precise, more devastating. They thought they could break me, but they had no idea who they were dealing with. Naledi Kumalo doesn't break. She breaks those who try to break her. And this was just the beginning. My first move was clinical and precise. I spent the entire next day meticulously documenting everything. Bank statements, text messages, hotel bookings. Each piece of evidence was a weapon in my arsenal. By noon, I had a complete dossier that would make even the most hardened divorce lawyer proud. Not just proof of infidelity, but a comprehensive record of financial misconduct and professional impropriety. I called my contact at Marcus's engineering firm, David Molifi, an old law school friend who owed me a favor. Our conversation was brief and to the point. I have information that will interest your HR department, I said, regarding Marcus Kumalo's professional conduct. The beauty of being a lawyer is knowing exactly how to destroy someone without breaking a single law. My phone buzzed. Marcus again. I ignored him. Thembi tried calling too, multiple times. Each call went to voicemail, each message a desperate plea I would never answer. By evening, my strategy was clear. I would dismantle their lives systematically, professionally, personally, financially. First target, Marcus's career. The engineering firm where he worked had ethical guidelines. Workplace relationships, especially those involving infidelity and potential conflict of interest, were grounds for immediate termination. I knew their HR policies better than most of their employees. My evidence packet would ensure Marcus not only lost his job but became unhireable in the industry. Next, Thembi's consulting business. She had built her reputation on being a trustworthy corporate advisor. Reputation was everything in Johannesburg's cutthroat business world. One strategically leaked document could destroy everything she'd worked for. I worked through the night, my home office a war room of calculated revenge. Coffee, legal documents, and a burning determination fueled me. By 3 a.m., I had drafted emails, prepared documents, created a network of strategic contacts who would help me execute my plan. This wasn't just about divorce. This was about complete and total destruction. They thought they knew me. They thought I would break. They were wrong. Naledi Kumalo doesn't get mad. Naledi Kumalo gets even. And my revenge was just beginning. The next morning, I arrived at my law firm dressed like a weapon. My black Armani suit was pressed to perfection, my heels sharp enough to cut through lies. Every colleague knew something was different, the way I walked, the fire in my eyes. Marcus's engineering firm was one of our corporate clients. I knew their internal structure better than most of their employees. Workplace ethics were my specialty, and I had spent years building a reputation for ruthless professional integrity. My first call went to Anton Pretorius, the firm's senior HR director. We had a professional relationship that went beyond standard corporate interactions. "I have information regarding a senior employee," I said, my voice calm and measured. "Marcus Kumalo has been engaging in conduct that violates multiple sections of your ethical guidelines." I laid out the evidence. Bank transfers, secret apartment rentals, communication logs showing inappropriate workplace relationships. Each document was a precisely crafted weapon. By 10 a.m., Marcus was called into a closed-door meeting. By noon, he was suspended pending investigation. Thembi's destruction required a different approach. She ran a boutique consulting firm that specialized in corporate strategy. Her entire business model was built on trust and professional reputation. I contacted 3 of her biggest clients, not with anger, not with emotion, but with cold, hard facts. "I'm providing you confidential information about a potential conflict of interest in your current consulting partner," I would say, my tone professional, my evidence irrefutable. One by one, her clients began to pull back. Contracts were reviewed, meetings canceled, her professional network started to crumble. By late afternoon, Thembi's phone was going crazy. Clients demanding explanations, contracts being rescinded, her carefully built professional facade was cracking. I didn't feel triumph. This was justice. They thought they could betray me and walk away unscathed. They were wrong. In the corporate world of Johannesburg, reputation is everything, and I was systematically destroying theirs, one professional connection at a time. Marcus and Thembi had forgotten one fundamental truth. I wasn't just a lawyer. I was a strategist. And this was my battlefield. The professional execution had begun, and I was just getting started. The personal destruction was going to be even more devastating than the professional takedown. I started with our social circle. In Johannesburg's tight-knit professional community, reputation meant everything. I had cultivated relationships for years, strategic connections that now became my most powerful weapons. Our annual couples dinner group was my first target. 12 of the most influential couples in the city, lawyers, engineers, business executives. They met monthly at exclusive restaurants, sharing gossip and maintaining their elite social network. I sent carefully crafted messages. Not dramatic, not emotional, just precise, factual information about Marcus and Thembi's betrayal. "I want to share some information about recent events," my messages began. Each one meticulously worded to destroy without appearing vindictive. The WhatsApp groups began to buzz, screenshots spread. Marcus and Thembi's names became poison in our social circles. Their mutual friends started distancing themselves. Dinner invitations disappeared. Social media connections were silently severed. In our world, social exile was more painful than any public confrontation. I knew every detail of their lives. The private school where Marcus's sister worked. The community center where Thembi volunteered. The gym where they both had memberships. Each institution received anonymous tips about their unprofessional conduct. My best friend from law school, Rebecca, helped me strategize. She understood the art of legal and social warfare. They won't know what hit them, she said during our late-night strategy sessions. I didn't want sympathy. I wanted justice. Marcus tried reaching out to my family, hoping they would mediate, but I had already spoken to my parents. Explained everything. My father, a retired judge, was more disappointed in the betrayal than surprised. Some people, he told me, forget that actions have consequences. Thembi's family was next. I knew their entire history, her parents' struggles, her siblings' achievements. I ensured they understood the full extent of her betrayal. Her mother called, crying, begging for an explanation. I remained cold, calculated. This wasn't about emotion anymore. This was about systematic destruction. By the end of the week, Marcus and Thembi had become social pariahs, isolated, exposed. Their once perfect lives were crumbling, and I was just getting started. The real war was just beginning. Money was always my language, and now it would become my most powerful weapon. I spent days digging through our financial history, joint accounts, secret investments, property holdings. Every single financial connection became a potential point of attack. Our prenuptial agreement was my first masterpiece. Most people think prenups are just about protecting assets during divorce. For me, it was a meticulously crafted battlefield map. I discovered Marcus had been moving money, small amounts, carefully, but not carefully enough. There was an offshore account in Mauritius, transfers that didn't make sense. Money Thembi had received, payments that looked suspiciously like hush money. My forensic accounting skills, honed through years of complex corporate cases, were about to become my most lethal weapon. I contacted my financial investigator, a former government forensic expert who owed me a significant favor from a previous case. I need a complete financial breakdown, I told him. And I mean everything. Within days, I had a comprehensive report that would make even the most seasoned financial investigator impressed. Marcus had been moving funds, hiding investments, creating financial structures designed to protect himself during what he thought would be a quiet, discreet divorce. He was wrong. I started by freezing our joint accounts, every single one. Credit cards, investment portfolios, business investments. His company credit card? Canceled. His personal banking? Restricted. His investment portfolio? Under investigation. Thembi wasn't spared either. Her consulting business's financial records became my hunting ground. I found irregular transactions, payments that seemed like bribes, consulting fees that were more like payoffs. One by one, I began dismantling their financial worlds. Bank managers received detailed reports. Financial regulators got comprehensive documentation. Tax authorities were sent carefully prepared evidence packages. Marcus's engineering firm started internal financial audits. Thembi's consulting clients began requesting detailed financial histories. Their world was collapsing, and I was the architect of their destruction. By the end of 2 weeks, Marcus and Thembi were financially paralyzed. No access to funds, no ability to move money. Their once robust financial empires reduced to rubble. I didn't just want a divorce, I wanted total financial annihilation, and I was achieving exactly that. In the cutthroat world of Johannesburg's corporate landscape, I was sending a clear message. Betray Naledi Khumalo, and you will lose everything. The courtroom was my battlefield, and I was about to deliver my final assault. I arrived dressed in a blood-red power suit, a deliberate choice. Not morning black, not professional navy, but red. The color of war. The color of revenge. My legal team was the best money could buy. Each one handpicked, each one loyal to me alone. We had prepared for months, collecting every single piece of evidence with surgical precision. Marcus sat on the opposite side. He looked destroyed. Gone was the confident engineer who once walked into our home like he owned the world. Now he was a shell, pale, trembling, his expensive suit hanging loose on a frame that had lost weight. Thembi wasn't even in the courtroom. Her lawyer looked nervous, shuffling papers, avoiding eye contact. Miss Khumalo, the judge addressed me. You may proceed with your opening statement. I stood, calm, calculated, every inch the top corporate lawyer I was. Your Honor, I began, this is not just a divorce case. This is about systematic betrayal at every possible level. I laid out everything. The affair, the financial misconduct, the professional violations, each statement backed by mountains of evidence. Bank transfers, showing suspicious payments, text messages revealing their long-standing affair, professional communication logs demonstrating conflict of interest, financial records showing hidden investments. Marcus's lawyer tried to object. I was prepared for every single potential interruption. Mr. Kumalo engaged in a deliberate, calculated betrayal, I continued. Not just of our marriage, but of every professional and personal trust we built together. The courtroom was silent. You could hear a pin drop. I produced evidence of Thembi's consulting firm receiving payments that looked suspiciously like bribes, of Marcus using company resources for their personal affair, of multiple ethical guidelines violated. This is not just about personal betrayal, I stated. This is about a complete breakdown of professional and personal integrity. My father, sitting in the back of the courtroom, watched with a mix of pride and sadness. He understood better than anyone the gravity of what was happening. The judge reviewed document after document. Each page seemed to drain more color from Marcus's face. I wasn't just asking for a divorce. I was asking for complete financial dismantling. Every single asset, every single investment, everything we had built together would be dissected, analyzed, and redistributed. Your Honor, I said in my final statement, I am seeking not just separation, but total accountability. Marcus's lawyer tried one last desperate attempt to negotiate. I shut it down immediately. No negotiations, I said coldly. Not anymore. When the hearing concluded, Marcus could barely stand. Thembi's reputation was in complete tatters. Their professional worlds had collapsed. Their personal lives were destroyed. Outside the courtroom, journalists waited. I knew every single one. Media was another weapon in my arsenal. Miss Kumalo, one reporter asked, how do you feel? I smiled. Not a happy smile, but the smile of someone who had just won a war. Justice, I replied, has been served. As I walked out, my high heels clicking against the marble floor, I knew this was more than just a divorce. This was a statement. A warning to anyone who would dare to betray me. In the concrete jungle of Johannesburg, I had just become a legend, and my story was far from over. My legal expertise was my sharpest sword, and I wielded it without mercy. Every angle, every loophole, every precedent became a weapon in my arsenal. Marcus and Thembi thought they could escape the professional ruin I had orchestrated, but they underestimated the depths of my strategy. I initiated a flurry of lawsuits against them both. Marcus's engineering firm, now investigating his ethical violations, received a detailed account of his financial misconduct and misuse of company resources. I sued him for breach of marital trust, citing every hidden transaction and offshore account. The court awarded me substantial damages, leaving him financially crippled. For Thembi, I targeted her consulting business with a vengeance. I filed defamation claims, citing false statements she had made to mutual acquaintances during her affair with Marcus. I worked with her ex-clients to expose her fraudulent billing practices. Every legal action chipped away at the reputation she had painstakingly built, until her firm was forced to close its doors. Both were buried under a mountain of legal fees and public humiliation. Marcus, desperate to fight back, attempted to countersue, but his case was weak. With every court session, I dismantled their defenses, leaving them cornered, hopeless, and humiliated. By the time I was done, they were not just defeated, they were annihilated. Every financial safety net, every professional foothold they clung to, was gone. My message was clear. Betrayal comes with a price. In the end, karma completed what I had started. Marcus, once a rising star in engineering, found himself unemployable. His unethical actions had made headlines, ensuring no reputable firm would touch him. With his assets seized, his accounts drained, and his name tarnished, he ended up on the streets, a shadow of the man who once commanded boardrooms. Thembi fared no better. Her consulting empire collapsed under the weight of her scandals. Once celebrated for her strategic brilliance, she was now a cautionary tale in professional circles. Social invitations dried up, friends distanced themselves, and her family, shamed by her actions, offered little support. She became a ghost in the very city she once thrived in. As for me, I emerged stronger, unbreakable. My career soared to new heights. my legal victories earning me accolades and respect in Johannesburg's competitive corporate world. The whispers that once followed me at social gatherings were now murmurs of admiration and awe. Revenge wasn't just served, it was plated as a masterpiece. And as I stood on the pinnacle of my success, I knew one thing with certainty. I hadn't just survived betrayal, I had turned it into a legacy of resilience and power.